my song. Let's sing it. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Come on, it's gonna be fucking awesome. You know the words. It's gonna be fucking awesome. That's insane. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Yeah!
Hey there, hi there, ho there, you're as welcome as can be. It is I, Jesse Blaze Snider, the coolest man alive, and you are listening to Coolest Alive. It is Saturday, and it is our glorious Saturday Mother Show, and I'm so excited because, I don't usually have guests on this show, but today is a special day because, as promised, I went to Toy Fair on Monday and Tuesday, and my second year in a row escorting one of my best friends and one of my mentors and person who I've looked up to and studied my whole life, DIGG Mesch, who is just an incredible contributor to the toy world, especially, but all sorts of wonderful things in the arts, and we'll talk about that stuff at the end of the interview. We'll definitely talk a little bit about some of the things he's doing now, but we'll get to all that in a second, and I'll give an even better introduction to DIGG. But real quick, if you're not listening to the show 5 days a week now, as we bring our little snippets of recommendation: Mondays for music, Tuesday for animation, Wednesdays for comic books, Thursdays for live action films, and then Fridays, anything I fucking want. We've done documentaries and live events. That dude free soloing the friggin' building in wherever the hell it was. Holy shit, what a great thing. If you haven't gone back, we've been doing it for 6-7 months now. So, there's 20 albums and 20 comic book graphic novels, some of the greatest shit that you will ever get your hands on. I highly recommend just sorting through and seeing what you might want to get as a recommendation. Also, if you're not listening to our Sunday show, Everything They Don't Want You to Know, it's our esoteric wisdom show. We've got a new theme song called Conspiracy Theorist because we've been fucking exonerated. Jesus, it's like even the things that I didn't want to believe and was only kind of half even bothering to listen to are turning out to be true. If you want to hear anything about that or anything else that we've been talking about over the past bunch of months, we're at like episode number 60 or something now. Go and check out all of the back catalog for everything that they don't want you to know. I highly recommend the first 15 episodes, which are all on the Hermetic principles and universal law, which are really the best things that can guide you at this time, as you realize there's a lot more going on here on planet Earth than they ever told us there was. It's an exciting time to be alive, I say. And also, I finally did a new episode of All Your Favorite Bands Suck. It's my favorite modern artist, Grandson. He rules. I'm going to be doing it every month. I think next will be the Black Keys. Love them too. There's a ton of episodes. It's still not available on Spotify, but you can get it everywhere else. And that's it. I love you guys. You can email me at jbs@blacklightdistrict.studio. And blacklightdistrict.studio is, of course, my comic book and music company. All of our stuff is available for free for you to check out right now at blacklightdistrict.studio. So without further ado, let's talk about Toy Fair. And we're going to bring in DIGG. Now, for those of you who are less toy oriented and need a little bit extra help understanding the significance of this man, he is basically responsible for every single major musician's toy release, especially in the beginning of when that started happening. Nobody was doing toys for musicians or any of these people. If you remember the Kiss Love Gun figures, which were 20 inches, 3 feet off the ground, in their costumes, really looked legit, great boxes, the credits for the artists on the box, and then so many things that came after that, from Ozzy Osbourne and Rob Zombie Jack in the Boxes to Eminem in 7-inch form with a chainsaw, and and then so many things historically working for ToyBiz when they were doing all of the Marvel figures, and is responsible for some of the greatest sculpts and the greatest things, and helping so many wonderful people in the business, having worked with so many people in the business. Then built his own company, the Art Asylum, which did all of that music stuff, and then went on to be the hired gun for other companies in the business because of the wonderful work that he had been shown to do over and over and over again throughout the years. And I'm going to bring DIGG on right here. I got DIGG. Hey, DIGG, how's it going, bro?
Hey, thanks for having me.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thank you for being here. I want to, just start the conversation off. It's such an honor to go to a toy fair with you. For me, I said earlier to you, you had asked me a question. I said, oh, I don't know. I said, I'm an aficionado. I'm not in it. And there are some things that now I've made, little tchotchke toys, or had to print comics or whatever else. So there's some things that I know and understand.
Well,
But
you're a walking encyclopedia. I mean, I don't remember what I've done as well as you do.
Well,
Really.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I try to absorb as much information as possible. But in the toy world, I am a novice. So, I've just been sort of observing and learning. And I find it very interesting because, not only am I a big toy guy, I've always loved action figures, but I love kids, and I love novelty and interesting kind of things. And I've got 4, and I know you've got 3. And so I'm always looking for games and looking at the things that are coming, even when it's not something that directly applies to me. But I've watched over the years, and I find this so funny because back in the day, and maybe you can explain so much of this to the audience. I remember that there were these master licenses, and it just like certain companies had them. They had all the licenses for all the major things,
Right.
and then this other company had all the other licenses. And getting any amount of license was really tough. And then there was this moment where people started figuring out, and I feel like you were very much one of the first,
very early,
how to cut out sort of a slice of a license in a specific way. Like, oh, well, we'll just do 3-inch versions of the thing. We'll just do this little part. They're not doing that, so we'll do this. And now, flash forward, 30 years later, an idea like that, like not well governed, the thing that I've noticed most at the conventions is like these licenses are cut up into smithereens.
Absolutely, yeah.
And you can't even like tell the difference between a lot of the offerings. You and I kept looking at each other going, what's this? What's
Is this the same company?
Yeah.
I mean, because it all looks the same.
Weren't they doing this?
It all looks the same.
Didn't that last company do that? And it's like, oh, this is the bobblehead company.
Yeah.
And,
and the work was beautiful and creative and, looked like it was in modern comics. Right out of the pages of modern comics.
Wonderful. That one company that we saw that was the bobbleheads, their stuff was the nicest.
And I don't think they're a company that's really I don't know if they're known for that, doing these really super high-end
Well, isn't that funny?
They're not all American companies.
Is the bobblehead the most popular of the offering in that
I've always
pop format?
I've never in my entire life made a bobblehead. A bobblehead verse.
They were really nice, though.
They were great. Well, but that wasn't the key feature.
And then there was that secondary bobblehead company. The
reason they're bobbleheads is so they can get the license.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Right. So they give it a category.
Yeah.
And then you just keep creating subcategories. So I've always been from the school of create the category, because then you won't have to compete with anybody for the license. That doesn't really. You're talking about master licenses.
Well, that's what everybody's doing. Like, so can you explain, like, what was Toy Fair like when you had first? What was the first Toy Fair you went to? Yeah, more magical.
Yeah, much more
it's so funny that like they do, and just some perspective for you guys out there, especially easy for people to know if you've ever been to some of these video game conventions where they make you wait in line outside the thing. The toys isn't quite so obnoxious, but there's a little table and everything's barred off, and you need an appointment to go into most of these big deal booths. Like they're like it's sort of crazy. You would think that they would just sort of like people to see their wares and let it be on display.
Yeah, I fell in, I fell into toys in the same geographic area that I went to school. I went to school at School of Visual Arts on 23rd Street.
SVA.
Best art school in the country. I would swear by that. I studied with brilliant geniuses, many of them the offspring of my greatest heroes. Dorian Vallejo, Josh and Jason Adams. Jason Adams was my partner, Neil Adams' son. We had a company together when we got out of school. I still consider him a very good friend, even though I don't see him. I feel like family to the Adams family. No pun intended. But those first, the first Toy Fair, I can't remember what year it was. Maybe it was 93, and it was because of Jason that we attended.
93.
Yeah, a few.
So what,
few
we're 26 right now, so that's
94 maybe, 94.
So we're 33 years ago.
93.
Like
it was probably 93. So I haven't thought about it in a long time.
And what was it like?
So overwhelming, scary. Like you're just out of school. It's
You were
very
out
corporate.
of school? So that was like, it was your first year out
I
of
had
school?
just done yes, I just graduated. It was 92. And Jason had
Digger is
graduated.
such an incredible sculptor. Feel free to Google him when you get a chance later. Just Digger and like action figures or whatever. The things that'll come up, you'll really see just in everything he does, just the life that he brings to all of his sculpts. He's really kind of moved on in some ways from being the master sculptor that he was because he does so many other cool things. But man, that was what made me and I talk about my friend Aaron Sparrow. Me and Aaron are both huge Digger Mesh fans. He's such a brilliant sculptor and an artist. So feel free to really dig into this man. He really, if you respect me at all, I respect him.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
So, I mean, if you want to make sense of it, I have to reel it back a little bit to school because, I was with Jason Adams. We were actually paired up through our instructor because we were uncommon in this class. It was a 3D design class. It was an experimental class at SVA. And it drew in Kevin O'Callahan, pretty notable teacher in New York City, had set up this class, and it attracted mostly graphic designers.
Mm-hmm.
I was a comic art major, illustration comic art major that did a lot of film classes, did a lot of fine art classes. I tried to.
Yeah, when did you switch into the sculpting?
It was at the end. It
Just
was
at
my
the very
last
end?
year of school, and we kept getting these projects, and we could solve them visually any way we wanted. So I always went for more, physical illustration stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing special makeup effects. I was, teaching myself a lot of that stuff, which I dabbled with through my teens. Latex and severed heads and all that other stuff. But I was the Dawn of the Dead. I was there for Dawn of the Dead, so that really influenced the '80s.
Mm-hmm. So it just kind of built naturally.
Yeah, built naturally. So Jason and I started working together, and we started creating sculptural characters. So he was already sculpting a lot before figurative stuff, before we had gotten together. And I was impressed with what he was doing. He was doing all of his father's stuff for Continuity Comics.
Mm-hmm.
So he had done the entire Megalith, Armor, Crazy Man, all those characters that Continuity had back in the early 90s.
Mm-hmm.
Ms. Mystic.
Neil Adams
Ms.
we're
Mystic.
talking about.
Yeah, Neil Adams is, God rest his soul. He was epic. He really was. He was a force of nature. So my exposure to the toy industry came from a couple of different places. Jimmy DeResta, a friend of mine, was an inventor, and he was also part of Kevin's crew. He's very famous right now, as a maker. Jimmy, struck gold with an invention, and everybody kept going, toys, toys, toys. There's money there.
Mm-hmm.
And I love toys. Growing up, of course, I had a enormous Star Wars collection, enormous Marvel collection. I think at the max, my comic collection was like at 30,000, 30,000 books, something like that.
They say you should, write what you read.
Right.
So I said,
Right. So, but I was a comic art major. I mean, my degree is in sequential art.
Yeah.
So I just didn't want to draw Manhattan all day. It wasn't fun.
Mm-hmm.
I love the human form, and I love all manner of art, but it wasn't enough to keep me glued to the wheel all day. So you have to love it to do it every day. So Jason and I started hitting the toy building. We landed Creepy Crawlers. It was from that first toy fair. I think it was 93, something like that.
Did you bring some sculpts with you, or did you have pictures, or what?
We had
Portfolio.
our portfolios.
Yeah.
Yeah, we carried our portfolios. We had sick promotional stuff. Both of us were very good with promotional stuff, way ahead of everybody else.
Was it locked down like it is now, like where everything's behind a desk and stuff?
You have to fight to get into the
more
building.
open?
Like you literally, it's like you have to get a special pass to get in. So
Yeah.
and it's a very closed world, except for the parade, which is I missed the parade probably most of all. It was like not a Macy's Day parade, but there was a toy fair parade. They would go through the Flatiron district right there, and there were giant stuffed characters and some floats, not really too crazy. People in
that's
costumes.
cute.
It was fun.
That's awesome.
It was
when
fun.
Did they stop doing that?
It was an event. It was right on Madison Park, which is where we had our office later. So yeah, we went in there and I just remember it left a massive impression on me. We met a lot of people. I was making friends fast. ToyBiz took a minute. Marvel took a minute. I was courting them for probably the better part of a year alone, trying to get Jason and I work. The guy that I had interviewed with, Ron something, died in a motorcycle crash, or he OD'd, or some other misadventure. I'm not sure exactly how he died. He wasn't really a fantastic human being, but I don't want to speak bad of the dead. So he passed. Too late. I guess I already did. You know, somebody.
Whoops.
Whoops. You know,
edit that out.
Guy
right
was
there.
a dick. Sorry, guy was a dick. So not a
in
cool
for
dude.
a penny, in for a pound.
Not a cool dude. So Carlos Lopez, you know, who's still in the toy industry to this day, amazing project manager, one of my dearest friends. He got me my first tryout up there, which was
Forgive me, he's smoking.
Venom Symbiote line.
Venom Symbiote. Oh yeah.
The first Venom Symbiote line.
Oh yeah.
And we knocked it out
if
of
you
the
guys
park.
remember, it's a great one. They they did a specific Venom Symbiote line in the late 90s, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
And they were slightly bigger than the 5-inch toys that they had been doing, and they were really, you know, they were trying to compete with Spawn at the time, which had gotten very cool. And these were some of the coolest things that Marvel had done. So cool, in fact, that the toys were later adapted into the comics, which is always such a cool little honor as you see that shit happen. And I mean, I think at this point, all of them have been adapted into the comics.
Right.
You know, a bunch.
So you know the foray for Art Asylum, which was in '96, I incorporated.
Yeah, so '93 you're saying was the first one. So 3 years later you did Art Asylum. At what point? I was going to say, at what point was that transition, and at what point did you or did you ever vend with Art Asylum? Have you ever been set up as a vendor at Toy Fair for any of the Art Asylum stuff? Like, were you guys there? Was Art Asylum there with the Love Gun toys?
You know, I was really the king of alternative marketing back then. Like, so I believe we were on the verge of going down. Like, money was bad.
Mm-hmm.
I had a couple of bad deals with investors that didn't go through, a couple of legal conflicts. You know, I didn't go to business school. I went to art school. So I had some lumps to take. Some, you know, lessons learned, never forgotten.
Yeah.
But, I had to learn also to control my emotions about things. That was difficult because there's a lot of scumbaggery. You know what I mean? You just have to get used to it.
Yeah.
It's really, you know, it almost feels like the stakes have never been lower.
Betrayal is a hard one for me. It's funny. I know that I have fucked up my career in a lot of ways because I'm so sensitive to betrayal. And but at the same time, have I? You know, because I've never been betrayed, really, ever. It's crazy. Like, closest is you and I had our trouble with my friend. That's the closest really ever. And like, he didn't really even do it to me. And it really aggravates me because I've had that happen where somebody will betray somebody right next to me. And that makes me just as
lost friendships because of that.
As furious.
That had something to do
how
with,
did you do that to him? That's fucked up. I love him.
You know, I was trying to be at every stage ethical. Although some would argue that was in fact what, you know, I was always trying to be ethical in my decision making.
It showed in all the promotion and everything. Your crediting
art,
of sculptors.
Authenticity is everything. I wanted to give credit to the artists. You know, the name of the company wasn't Digger and the Art Asylum.
Yeah.
You know, it was the Art Asylum.
Yeah.
And I was promoting, you know, a group of talented people that I really did love. You know, there was a family vibe at the studio, which is when, you know, the business starts to get harder and harder as you're going up and things are getting more critical and deadlines are more critical than ever. And that stress can really create divide when you have a family coming up together.
So you guys never set up at Toy Fair ever?
No. I mean, what I would do is, going back to the marketing thing, so that last year that we were in trouble, whatever year that might have been, 98, 99, I went all out and took my whole crew out, hired 4 little people to be my bodyguards and gave them custom, like, fetish Tim Burton outfits to wear. And I created a dark carnival around me, and it would follow me. You know, as I went to the toy building, as I went to a meeting, whatever I was doing anywhere, I had a carnival with me. So no one had ever done that before. We made a lot of noise on the street. The press was there all over us because it was obscure. It wasn't like commercial. It looked like a dark performance art, really. And Art Asylum wasn't a toy company. We were a movement in a way. We were a creative studio that did a lot of different things. I didn't want to pigeonhole us. I mean, from the very beginning of the studio, I was still doing film work. You know, I mean, one of the last things I got in was Big Daddy. You know, I designed and built Big Daddy for the film, the Adam Sandler.
Yes, he did Scuba Steve.
Yeah, there was a prop master that kept calling me with different opportunities. I was like, oh, it's an Adam Sandler movie. And it's funny because I had never seen Adam Sandler on TV. I was so absorbed in my work for so many years. Like I didn't watch SNL. I didn't really know who he was. You know, but I do think that Big Daddy is by far the best film he did in his prime.
It's a solid one. I have a lot that I really like from him in his prime. Wedding Singer, I think, is great.
Yeah,
and I like 50 First Dates. Gets me.
50 First Dates is amazing.
I cry my
that was
eyes
after
out
Big Daddy
when I watch that fucking
it's
movie.
A great film.
Yeah,
it's a great film.
And then of course the first two are great for me. Billy Madison
and stylistically,
Happy
it's almost like, you know, from the Something About Mary world.
No, it's
comedy.
totally formulaic, but it's ratcheted.
Right.
You know, for me, the best ideas, it's like, you know, The Thing. One of the reasons why The Thing is like one of the most brilliant, you know, films ever is because it's ultimately about distrust. But it's this sci-fi scenario that ratchets the distrust to such a crazy degree that you got two people freezing to death because they're not sure if the alien's dead yet. You know,
right.
And there's a similar thing going on there where it's just like 50 First Dates. You know, just God damn it, heartbreak over
Hi, my
and
name's
over
Tom.
and
That's my
over and
favorite line.
over and over, like just fucking
Hi, my
gets
name's
me
Tom.
crying. But I cried my eyes out when I was a stupid movie. Like I won't put it on anymore. I'm like, this is embarrassing. So that's really cool. So what was it like? Did you watch it transform, or you know, has your time away from the toy fair and coming back to it been like, wow, things have changed?
No, I've gone back. You know, I did take some big departures. Like after I sold Art Asylum to Diamond in 2006. You know, I was still sort of tied into the company. I was, you know, freelancing. I had a team in Asia of artists that I was working with in the Philippines. They were having trouble with deadlines. Scheduling issues were a problem, if I remember correctly. But I wasn't really going back to Toy Fair for many years. You know, it was like I took a big break, and I needed it. I wanted to make movies. You know, I wanted to do other things. I was passionate. All the work that everyone knows that we did, I was really passionate about. And that passion was contagious. The whole, you know, the team, you could feel it in the work. Everything we were doing was a first, or somehow, you know, pushing the industry forward and getting everybody else to hustle. So, you know, all of a sudden these other companies started popping up around us. And as far as the trades were concerned, it was like me and Todd McFarlane. You know, it was Art Asylum McFarlane, Art Asylum McFarlane, every other cover, pretty much.
Yeah, for people who are younger out there but are into toys, like every company from Mezco to Mondo, it is all foundation. Four Horsemen, it like a lot of it is very foundationally built upon Digger. You know, from where he was coming from, and then at the same time, the Horseman guys were coming out of the shadow of McFarlane, and Digger's even somebody who was helpful in encouraging them to go out and do their own thing, as they've been, you know, very successful. But so much stuff of like the real great next level artistic creativity in toys. Really, like I credit to you as an observer, and just, you know, like a company like Mezco, who was making great shit. You know, and of course, when I met Digger, I found out, oh, that person used to work with me, and you know, like, you know, all these connections. There's so much snaking, and for, you know, I really I keep telling him I'd like to have Blacklight District Studio do a book on his whole career one of these days. But I should say he's got a new company called DIGG DEEP. And they've got a new product that is going to be, you know, pre-ordered through Kickstarter, and it's called Baby Buddhas. Really, really cool, property. And so that's brought him back into the toy fold to take a look around, so to speak. And what do you see, like, for people out there who are budding sculptors or toy makers or any of this stuff, like, what is there to do? I noticed between this year and last year, there was a major decrease in how many people were actually there at the place. Like on the last day, it was a ghost town.
Yeah, the industry's shrinking.
Yeah.
For sure. And I mean, I'm getting a lot of play-by-plays from the distributors and the other companies I spoke to, that every year it's been shrinking for quite a few years now. It's not just because of the tariffs, although the tariffs didn't help. They put a lot of additional strain.
Well,
this
the
is one
toy
thing.
industry, for people who don't know at home, has basically been exclusively exported to China. Mr. Digger here has a child in China,
Yeah.
because he's spent a lot of his life there, having to deal with the factories and all the things. And this is also true for the clothing industry. My very good friend Kevin Christiana is constantly in China dealing with the factories for the manufacturing of his clothes. And a lot of this has been upheaved since Trump got into office with tariffs and other things, and try an attempt to get things back into America, which I think Digger and I have spoken about before, isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it is major upheaval to the way things have been being done for a very long time.
For sure. So, there's a lot of relearning going on right now. Like, I'm really analyzing everything. I've been analyzing everything that's going on for a couple of years. I'm not leaping into anything. Everything that I'm doing right now, I've thought about and worked on for quite a while. So these are not just like new impulsive things. Which was always my mantra.
You've got a few.
Go.
You've got a few of them that have been gestating. You've got
Yeah.
decks on a couple of these things. It's just been like sort of waiting for the moment to execute.
Yeah, Baby Buddhas. I don't think the timing could be better. Now I created it 18 years ago for my son. Baby Buddhas is a commercial take on a fantasy universe I'm creating that's that holds Buddhist values and Buddhist stories in high regard. The essence of it is Buddhist teachings, but it's not preachy. Neither is Buddhism by nature preachy. It's not, but it's
the middle way.
It's the middle way, yeah.
The middle way.
So I thought it'd be great for kids. It would be great to have something representative of Buddhism in the market. And now I look around, and I'm like, when I first got back, I pitched it to Walmart. I pitched it to Target or through my ex-partner. And the reactions were, wow, this is really cool looking, but we can't touch it. It's religion. I don't see, troops of angry Buddhists mobbing stores to protest.
Angry Christians.
Or angry, yeah. Well,
how dare you place a Buddha here?
I want to do some Christian stuff as well. That will take less liberty with, no liberty actually.
I honestly,
we're looking to be the spiritual company.
Yeah,
Dig Deep is.
I've heard you say, have to express minor worry about that. I really think the Christians have evolved. Most of them, the majority of them, yeah. And and something as soft as the middle way is not. I think we're all ready to live and let live, Digger.
Yeah. Yeah. I went to Catholic school. I'm Italian. Went to Catholic school. It seemed like for a few years, it's the thing that you do. There was some of the fear of God was put into me there with the nuns that run the place. But I went through other periods. I went through my atheist period, complete atheism. And in a sense, Buddhism, I'm secular. So it is technically agnostic, right? You have to say that you're agnostic.
Yes, so you're sort of forced to.
That doesn't apply to all Buddhist sects. That's Theravadian is probably one of the most grounded in and sort of, if you look at the splits.
This is why I don't even get into it, because I just go, I bow to all of them. I bow to the Buddha. I bow to Christ.
Yeah, for sure.
Glory
for sure.
to all nice beings.
We can't take away people's religions.
Yeah.
It's wrong.
Well, yeah, it really, I think South Park did it best, with Timmy. Timmy,
I don't mind the occasional joke.
Just because Timmy couldn't do the thing that he was supposed to do in order to, do the sacrament of Christ, didn't mean that Timmy should be going to hell. And I think anybody who's thinking that God is going to think so myopically as to not take all things into consideration, right, and where people are coming from, and if it's not translated like this, and if you're not using these words, that's always been the hard thing for me. I just want us all to get on the same page of like, as long as they're not hurting you and they're being nice to people, you
Absolutely.
gotta let everybody be and be cool.
Generally, the conflicts that you see around the world that are between religions are not actually between religions. They're just using that as part of the propaganda.
Oh yeah, well that's it.
You know, it's always
All of
about
our differences
resources,
get
territory, money.
yeah,
You
we get turned
know,
against each other every step of the way.
yeah, it's easy to manipulate people when they're desperate too.
So, what do you think about the overall state of the industry? Looking around at the toys and the market and the
I heard
stuff
some
that's being
positive
made.
things. I heard that
No, I
there
don't
was a
mean that.
general feeling that there was a resurgence towards designer toys because I think there was a lull.
Okay, that's more what I mean. Like, what's like what's popping and like what is cool and what is working and what is the future?
I saw, I mean, I spent if you go upstairs, it's mostly the big boys, right? Like
Hasbro's and
the
Mattels and stuff.
Jazzwares,
Yeah.
who actually has great stuff. They turned into a massive company, right? They're in the top 10. They have to be. Hasbro, Lego, Mattel, all the big boys, right? Honestly, the places that I'm least interested in going.
Mm-hmm.
I've always been, when, and a lot of this was because of our ToyBiz days, because the articulation requirements were very heavy. We were doing, I designed the multi-articulate, the first Spider-Man that was the multi-articulated one,
Oh yeah,
the big one,
that had the
the
that
super
had all of his
articulated one.
webs like carved into him.
Yeah, yeah. I designed that on paper, and then we didn't sculpt it. Somebody else sculpted it, but that was our design. We also designed the Spider-Man web blasters that shoot the silly string.
Oh yeah,
I created the very first prototype for that in my studio. As a matter
that's
of fact,
cool.
I was involved in a court case. Somebody was suing ToyBiz for the invention rights.
Oh great, you did a terrible job making the spider web slinger thing, huh? And you got
I
sued.
had to give testimony. I looked like Marilyn Manson on crack. I don't think they took my testimony seriously. I almost went in there deliberately looking like,
Yeah,
like, please don't take me
as
seriously.
my father fought the PMRC the same way.
Right.
So you think I've seen that as well. Like for me, you know, across the board, my business model, and I sort of recommend this business model to everybody, because it's not gonna hurt me or hurt you for us all to take the same model. But the company that I was working for that just kind of fell apart, and even though the book that I did for them, Guns and Angels, is going on, there's a new company with apparently the good side of that company who was bridged off and is still doing Guns and Angels. They just offered all the books, but I only found out about it after it was over, so I couldn't even tell anybody. But they were making $60,000 to $70,000 in a 3 month or less than that, eventually, on the backs of 800 to 900 people. That is achievable, my friends. That is achievable. Put yourself out there the right ways with the right products, the right things. And when people are willing to invest in people through Kickstarters and through other means, people really are generous when they know people are so fed up with these companies. The same way we're like, I'm not that interested in Lego. I'm not that interested in all these big companies doing all these big things. We've seen all the things they have to offer. They tend to keep letting us down in what we'd really like to see. It's
Right.
always just falls a little short, and we end up having to rebuy something or whatever else, like new and innovative things. That never goes away. The novelty doesn't wear off, and I feel like we're at the verge of, especially with AI, coming back around again to where toys really started to break out in the first place with a kung fu grip and action features that were allowing toys to do things that they hadn't done in the past. This, and all that advertising. We went into hyper detailed, hyper articulated, and now I think we're going to get into hyper detailed, hyper articulated, but with some sort of action feature or some sort of hybrid of those things. But more with the novelty coming back into it, as people have sort of gotten used to the other thing being so prevalent.
Right. Sure.
Do you see the what do you call it, the designer toy world, I guess, continuing to prop up, and where do you think the mainstream toy world is going to go?
Yeah. I mean, look, I was always, when I was in Hong Kong, I did a lot more in the underground art house stuff that was big in the press in Hong Kong didn't make it over here, except maybe in some Japanese industry magazines. When I
Oh yeah,
left
their
for Hong Kong,
influence is pretty big now.
yeah, I mean, I was doing a lot of experimental stuff in Hong Kong that I knew or didn't care if it would work in the States. You know, a lot of like group art exhibits with, you know, toyetic things. Yeah, I was trying to experiment a lot over there. But, you know, I was next to all these great Japanese and Hong Kong urban toy designers like Eric So, Michael Lau. You know, they are the fathers of the urban vinyl movement. They really are.
Uh-huh.
Like that early Eric So stuff. Michael Lau probably predominantly in the West, but I found Eric So to be the far uh, more impressive creative of the two. He was a more diverse artist, like a Warhol that did paintings and then did toys and then did a clothing line and then did, you know, he was always putting his hands into something, which is where my respect in my head is at.
My father, you know, he used to tour all over the world, and he would come back with things from different countries. But I was always most fascinated with the Godzilla toys that he would come back with from.
Yeah, no, the stuff I saw in Japan, dude, you know, I used to go there all the
crazy.
time. It really kept me excited about the art form.
All sorts of clever stuff,
But
and
then I come
really
back
well
to the
made.
States and be not happy with the art form. Like, you know,
No.
like I didn't look at a lot of the licensed product as art. I just really like, and this was partially because, you know, our investors came on board and we were really a boutique art house company. And when the investors came on board, like we were shoved into this commercial model, you know, with different pricing than we should have been at. You know, like we should have warmed up slow, but they didn't want, you know, they were like, let's just make, you know, $100 million as quickly as possible. In retrospect, that wasn't a bad plan, but we just weren't ready for that at the time. So we did some just fantastic work. You know, Star Trek Master Rights we had, that was the biggest deal I had, was the entire, you know, you were talking about Master Rights before. That was the only master license I had ever had. That was a very big deal for a small company like ours. Paramount literally took $1 million less from us than they did whoever our final competitor for the license was. They took, which I think was Jack's Pacific. I think they had offered them like double our offer, and they still gave it to us. That meant that they cared about the brand.
Yeah.
Right. And, you know, we had the licensing people inside. We knew them for a while. They saw the quality of our work. I think they knew that Star Trek needed care.
Something, yeah.
You know, like, because it's so super fanboy
Yeah.
and super, you know, like detailed.
It's so interesting.
Klingon languages are real, and the technical specs on the ships, you know, there's some sort of, you know, sci-fi physics.
Well, when we were at the show, I had a thought that I realized I'd never had before, which was, I think it's too late. And I was standing in front of the Star Trek action figures, and they are going deep. And I'm looking at these characters, and I'm a huge Star Trek fan, huge. I've watched every episode at least 3 times of like every series.
I've seen them.
You know,
it's like my
except
comfort
the animated
food. Star
series.
Trek
Maybe I've
Classic
watched
is
that
my
once.
comfort food.
Yeah,
you know,
I mean, I've seen it so many times, and I was looking at these characters like with blank. I'm like, it took me so long to recognize them as these characters,
right?
And you know, and they were pretty good. They were like nice figures if it was fresher in my mind. And we've been through this J.J. Abrams, which was okay, into the Kurtzman Star Trek, which has been terrible.
Oh my God,
era of Star Trek.
No,
and
listen, it got much worse.
Yes,
it really hit an all-time low. Like what they just created.
Oh my God,
is truly
it's
fodder.
It's so terrible.
It's an insult to the legacy of Trek.
But I like look you because usually you're like something that like people love and like you see it and you're like, oh, finally, that's great. So many people will be happy. And I saw them and I was just like, I bet they're struggling to sell these because it's like been so just killed.
We came in at a really weird time. Enterprise, you know, first of all, even the story of getting the license is interesting. So
wait, and I should ask you just to combine in your answer here: is the industry cannibalizing itself through licensing?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, like, you know, how much product can everybody consume? So the pie gets, you know, the slices get thinner and thinner and thinner. The amount of money that's to be made gets thinner and thinner and thinner. There's only so many people that are diehard collectors that have unlimited capital to buy every ridiculous thing they see. And I don't mean that in an insulting way, but I mean,
No,
like,
no, no,
there's a
no,
lot
I
of
don't think
stuff
there-
on the market
there's
right now.
There's so much, and you have to be very selective.
Yeah,
You
right.
know, there was an explosion of statues after Bowen was having
Sure.
success.
We did some of that. We were
yeah,
part of that wave. You know,
yes.
we did some stuff that that I'm very proud of, like, not necessarily things that I sculpted either. I had a few incredible sculptors. Some of the standout things
Well,
that we did early
you
on.
did
I
a
did the
bunch through
first
Dynamic
Thanos.
Forces.
I did the first Thanos action figure ever. I did the first Thanos statue. I did the Death of Captain Marvel, which is my most important book in Marvel history. I got to do that. We did all the classic covers that meant something to me. X-Men 136.
So this
Dark
is a
Phoenix,
perfect example, right?
Cyclops cover.
Because there were some cool ones too. Yeah, I remember there's a whole bunch of like Sinister Six, Vulture, and
Yeah,
they
we
were
did a
really
whole line of
stylized. I know you
baddies.
designed some of
We
those.
did a lot of baddies.
So,
Looked like
you know,
Sony line.
for me,
right?
when that exploded like that, you know, as a collector, I had to choose. You know, it was
Right.
like I was already doing the Bowens. I was just going to keep it to the Bowens. So I had one collection, and I never got any of those things. Like I didn't even look at them.
Right.
You know, I only looked at the Bow because you can't get all that stuff at once.
Right. Right.
So there's only so much you can put on
Sales
your shelf.
were good in the beginning. You know,
No, and I'm not saying it was because the
beginning.
people who didn't like Bowen liked those. You know, so this is the beginning though.
Well,
Like
Bowen,
just with
Bowen,
statues.
let me tell you, I have a lot of respect for Bowen. Bowen was already one of the greatest sculptors I had ever seen before I had maybe the first. I only had one statue I had done.
He kills. He's solid.
He's amazing, and he's got a long history in the arts.
Yeah, I like him. I've
And
spoken to him.
everything he did was consistent. He built like a John Buscema style
Yeah.
for Marvel. It was like John Buscema does the Marvel
and credited
universe.
people, and the people that he brought in as well who did the other works.
Yeah.
Craig,
he
great
didn't
people.
really miss.
Yeah.
We missed a few times. We had some stuff that I wasn't ultra proud of, and
Yeah.
I was in Hong Kong at the time, a lot, and I wasn't in the studio all the time. So some of the stuff the guys turned out was, you know, it wasn't awful, but there were a few pieces that I was like, okay, well, it's commerce. Let's keep going.
Well, so you know
You
what
know?
I wanted to sort of point out is like, you know, that's the beginning of the dissolution, right? You know, and in that situation, you've got a situation where there's like two companies doing a similar thing, but it wasn't just two companies. There became more, and there was more, and you know, then there's Michael Turner's guy was doing
Right.
some stuff, and there's a whole bunch of other people started coming along and continuing to do this thing, and now, you know, some things are getting bought and some things aren't getting bought, and people are breaking the idea of a collection, and now they're just cherry picking the things that they like from the things because there's multiple companies producing all similar sort of variety of product, and now you have it down into through the pops and the action figures. There's a 6-inch wave, and there's a 7-inch wave, and there's the 8-inch, and there's the 10-inch, the 1/12 collection, and the 1/8, and all these different sizes, and then the different pops and bobbleheads and all this shit, and multiple companies doing variations of the same thing.
Right.
You know, at that point, like you said, you know,
Well,
like it's
Mini-Mates, you know, our Mini-Mates model was first. No one had done that. We had a lot of licenses.
Oh yeah, Mini-Mates is another one of Diggers.
You know, they drained the life out of, but it lasted 25 years. You know, which I can honestly say none of the other stuff did. Most of those lines came out and died. You know, even Hasbro tried to knock me off, and they failed. They did instead of doing Mini-Mates, they did Mighty Mugs.
Yes, I remember.
Right?
Yep.
Even sounded like Mini-Mates.
Yes.
You know what I mean? They saw there was something in what I was doing.
Yes.
So they did like an urban vinyl.
I'm sorry to say
commercial
my
urban
children
vinyl.
had a Mighty Mug.
Yeah, I had a Mighty Mug. I thought they were great.
Yeah.
I thought they were cute.
I thought they were great when I invented them.
But they had money behind them too. You know, like
Well, see, that was the thing
really
I was
limited.
say.
The investors didn't understand Mini-Mates. They didn't, not until Lego did it. Then they understood it.
So because I feel like you had kind of said something like this, and I was thinking it the whole time. Often the quality is being done by these smaller companies, and the quantity is being done by these larger companies, and they just can't compete, especially as there's all this dissolution, you know, unless people are really going and able to find that better company doing that better thing.
Right. Yeah.
You know, and we end up with just perpetually companies that really don't care about their customers, because they are on the Dow, and they're actually publicly traded, and they become this evil entity outside of these smaller toy companies that are like in it for the toys. And there are plenty of those people, but few of them actually like,
and they're struggling, a lot of them.
Yeah.
You know, a lot of the indie toy guys, they really are fine artists, and this is their art, and I hold it in high regard. I mean, the numbers, the quantities on a lot of this stuff very low. You know, limited run of 100 units. I mean, that's low. 50 units of something. So I wanted to see that happen more in America, and it has. You know, Designer Con has become a big thing.
Oh, Designer Con's my favorite.
So, but
if
like,
you've
you know,
never
the
been
guys
to
that you
Designer
won't
Con,
see-
guys, I recommend you go to one. So many
It's in Vegas now.
do-it-yourself kind of things. It's just people, not just wonderful artists, but wonderful companies that are just doing things, handmade things. You know, wooden glasses. You know, frames for frames for your glasses,
Very
all made of
artsy.
wood, and custom tabletops and things. I mean, just really wonderful. It's my favorite show to go to, and it used to be done in L.A., but now moved to Vegas. I gotta take Julie there. She loves Vegas.
Great show.
Yeah, it's a great
show.
Yeah.
So, you know, I have a lot of respect for that world. You know, we did, before Kid Robot came around, we were doing Gorillas. I had the license for Gorillas.
Oh yeah, the marquees were at your
flew
place.
out to England. I met with the animation studio. I was supposed to meet with Jamie Hewlett. I'm a huge fan of his work. I'm not sure, he missed the meeting, so I wasn't happy about that. But I am a huge fan of his work. I love Tank Girl. I love the film, even though the English hated it and it didn't do well at box office. I thought Tank Girl was a great movie.
I only barely remember it.
It's over the top. It's very artsy. You know,
I've been meaning to watch it with my youngest daughter. I feel like she'll appreciate it.
Ice-T.
That's right.
Like,
Ice-T's a kangaroo.
amazing kangaroo makeup, walking around going, "Fuck you, motherfucker." I mean, just like it was rated R. It was out of control.
All these years later, that sounds just wonderful. I'll have to. I'm gonna.
It's just very edgy for the day.
Yeah.
You know, for a movie with that kind of budget, which I don't know what the budget was. It had to be like 15 million, 20 million. Anyway, so what was the last question?
Well, my last question is what do you think about the advent of digital printing and 3D printing?
Yeah.
Toys. I mean, there's more than toys. There's so many things that be 3D printed.
We're getting closer to that point in time where 3D printers are more and more common in people's households. Like, you know, it's getting to the point where like somebody at least knows somebody that has a 3D printer somewhere. You know, so there's a whole market, there's a whole industry, you know, collector fan base of guys and girls, I'm sure.
There was also a ton of booths selling 3D printed toys. Trying to vend there.
Yeah, and you know, you have to design around the medium too, right? So, like a lot of the stuff that's happening domestically in 3D printing, like there's farms out in Utah or in all these states out in the Midwest, other states in the Midwest, where these guys are doing 3D printing forms. They're printing those toys that are solid colors or prism or whatever dynamic effect they can get. You can print in virtually any material today, from metal, literally metal, Kevlar. You know, you can make bulletproof armor on your 3D printer.
Yeah, crazy.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
right?
Crazy.
So, and these kids are taking it to new levels, right? So I was in early with the 3D printing. We had a couple of machines in-house. Temporarily, we had a Form Z digital arm, which had you'd hold like this pen, and it had a robot arm, and it gave you resistance, and you could literally feel the clay on the tool pushing and pulling. That was some of the earliest 3D sculpting. We didn't keep that. I just wound up using Gentle Giant. We subcontracted to them. They had all the equipment. It was a multi-million-dollar investment. We looked at the books and said, do we really want to become this?
Mm-hmm.
And at the time, if you're going to make an investment, the machines were $300,000 each.
Wow.
Right now, you can get a machine for a couple of grand. That's amazing, for home use. And there's the different, there's SLA and there's filament.
Yeah.
The filament ones are the ones that are popular with normal people.
How long do you think before that technology is something to really compete with the toy industry?
The advances are radical across the board. I can't believe they're as radical as they are. The color printing has gotten to the point where it's almost
multicolored. My son, he's got his own 3D printer, multicolored.
Yeah. But I'm talking about this other process that's more like you don't need to paint the figure.
Oh,
You know,
yes,
like
yes,
it's
yes,
that.
yes,
It's like
yes.
even gradations.
Yeah.
in
Well,
skin tone.
well, that's
shadow.
some of the things that Cassidy make. My son have that look, but
Right.
he could do
four colors.
Four colors.
You
I
can probably
think is
do
what he
4
could
colors.
do.
Yeah, which is still awesome. You know,
Yeah.
because you can do a 4-color character.
4-color looks pretty good for some of
Yeah.
these things. I was impressed. A couple things that he made for me.
Yeah.
So when can people expect, you think, for the Baby Buddhas thing to maybe be getting offered?
We want to launch in March with the campaign on Kickstarter.
Okay.
That would put us in late July, August to land product. We'll have some other stuff in the works as well that I'll announce later. I can't talk about.
I promise I'll let you guys know about it as I hear about it. But all right,
yeah,
cool.
I'm
So
excited.
late March.
You know, I'm excited. You know, it's we're doing entertainment and apps for things as well. You know, it's really about transmedia for me. It always has been. You know, I need to live whatever the thing I'm working on is in every aspect of my life. That's a strength and a weakness at the same time. So, you know, I think Baby Buddhas is going to stick. I think the timing couldn't be better with. I started to say this before and didn't finish. The timing couldn't be better with the Walk for Peace with the monks. It immediately dispelled most of the voices in my head of everybody telling me this won't work, Digger. Nobody's going to want this. This will never happen in the States. Go sell this in Japan. Go try to sell this in India. You know, stop trying to sell Americans these foreign religions.
Oh, you just went to go see them, didn't you? When they walked into Washington D.C.
I did. I went to D.C. I was there. I was there for the final.
Are you
ceremony.
telling me that you were not the only white person who was interested in this idea?
There were thousands of people there. I was impressed.
Well, that's what I figured.
And they came every day.
Hey,
they came every
the
day.
spiritual community has been digesting books, from the Buddhist community for ages. Like I never went full Buddhist, but I've been reading fucking Buddhist text like fucking crazy. Forget the diary of a Bodhisattva.
Baby Buddha's wisdom is going to be distilled into physical comedy, and almost Confucian-like fortune cookie Buddha wisdom.
Sweet beauty, but sweetie, cutie,
I want
baby
it to be
wisdom.
Family friendly. I want it to be.
Don't you love when babies bring you
rich
wisdom
in meaning and texture?
Well, that's great. I'm excited about it, Digger. Thank you for coming on the show and chatting with me today.
Thank you.
For you guys listening, tomorrow it's Sunday, and I will be back, but with everything they don't want you to know. We're doing a really cool episode. I had a major spiritual experience that made me understand that at the end of the day, especially in this telepathic, empathetic world, where it's proven that meditation has lowered crime rates, that if we all focus on the right things, the resolution of all the trouble that's going on, we can really do some good here in the world. So if you want to meditate with me on some good vibes, on everything they don't want you to know, you should tune in for tomorrow's show. And this week, I'm not doing my typical Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday thing of all different things. I'm just doing a week of hunting human beings. All movies about hunting human beings. It's in honor of the Epstein files and us finding out that Epstein was hunting human beings on his island. I thought, oh, there's so many movies that I've enjoyed because I didn't think that was real. But it's still fun to enjoy them as things and help us process the trauma of the Epstein files release. So it's going to be 5 days of hunting human beings on Coolest Alive this week. And next Saturday, as promised, we will finally talk about the new Muppet Show with Sabrina Carpenter. And I'm really excited to watch that with my kids. And I'm really pleasantly surprised about what they're doing. I might even try to see if I can sneak my resume over there back to some of the producers that I know, because they're finally, it seems, on the right track. Anyway, thank you again, Digger Mesch, for joining me for the show. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much for the interview. It was great joining you for Toy Fair and hearing your perspective on all this. Do check out the Baby Buddhas when you get a chance. And join me again next time on another fucking awesome episode of The Coolest Alive. Love you guys. Peace out.
You've been listening to Coolest Alive with me, your host, Jesse Blaze Snider. Don't forget to rate, comment, and subscribe for more excellent entertainment recommendations. Thanks for listening.
It's gonna be fucking awesome. Come on, it's gonna be fucking awesome. You know the words. It's gonna be fucking awesome. That's it, say. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Yeah! fucking awesome. Week after weeks, it's gonna be fucking awesome. Laughing with you, it's gonna be fucking awesome. And crying sometimes too, it's gonna be fucking awesome. Spelling it out, it's gonna be fucking awesome. Making you shout. I'm a genius. I got lyrics coming out me bum for days. You like that? It's a kazoo solo. I played that too. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Talking some shit. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Living your shit. My voice is fucking awesome. Food in our mouth. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Get in the mouth. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Tell all your friends. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Call right or text. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Raising the bar. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Straight to the stars. It's gonna be fucking awesome. It's starting soon. Straight to the top. Passing the moon. It's gonna be fucking awesome. On with the show. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Ready, set, go. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Fucking awesome. It's gonna be fucking awesome. Just wait. You'll see. You'll all see.
The podcast playground.